everyone. Welcome to Creativity-Hive's weekly program. I am Miriam Haugen, part of the Creativity-Hive team. We help creatives learn to make impactful storytelling videos through one-on-one teaching and live group coaching. And our weekly hangout brings you people working, many of them working in video, but not all, as you will find out with today's guests, or in motion media, broadcasting, anything related or that we think might be just interesting. So, and one of the things that I've personally really enjoyed is that we bring people from across the globe. And with today's guest, Richard Lowenthal, we are now have someone from South America. So that means that we have covered 6 out of the 7 continents. And I'm very excited about that. Now we just need a guest from Antarctica. So somebody needs to help me with that. All right, I'm going to bring Richard on the screen here. Hello, hello.
Hello, Miriam. Hello, everyone.
Yes, and you are from?
I'm from Brazil. Yeah.
Yes, Sao Paulo or the area?
São Paulo, yes.
Yes. Very cool.
Well, congratulations for your coverage right now.
You're right.
Very much the entire world.
Yes. It has been a fun ride, a very fun ride. So tell us about you're going, oh, I don't want to talk about myself. I want to talk about GoBrunch, but I would really love to hear a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned about creativity because when I was at school, I found a book about creativity from a psychologist. I think his name is A. Paul Torrance, which was very interesting. I kind of found myself by reading this book, because every time that we're dealing with creative people, we are dealing with imagination, right? It doesn't matter if it's writing or video or stuff like that. And yeah, I love creating anything. Like this is what I really love in my life. And well, you asked about GoBrunch. What happened is that I always wanted to create this kind of virtual worlds, even before Facebook started promoting metaverses. And back to 2014, around 2014, I was experiencing some one of these social metaverses, and I was just wondering, hey, this looks interesting, but I think we can do something different, something better, in a more professional level. And my initial idea was to mix a kind of a webinar platform with a metaverse, but it could be used for many different use cases, such as education. It could be used for, even for showcasing our artwork. Yeah, and this is pretty much the beginning, right? Because I started creating the drawing on paper in my notepad and say, hey, I think I had like a vision and started something from there.
Awesome. So are you a coder yourself, or are you just the creative mastermind behind the whole thing?
Yeah, well, yeah, I actually am not a programmer. I am a database programmer, but I would say that I have a team of people who help me to do all to put in practice all ideas that I have, and of course we brainstorm a lot because they help us. They help me, but yeah, I have a background in technology and communication, but I'm not the main programmer here. I have a
Right.
team doing this for me.
You're the mastermind.
Well, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Awesome. So, all right, tell us about GoBrunch.
Yeah, well, GoBrunch is a platform, and initially you can say, "Hey, what's the difference of GoBrunch and any traditional video conferencing tool?" And for usually people, are used to any kind of these traditional platforms, and they just use for sharing screen, just for communicating, and turning on cameras, microphones, and all this stuff. And in GoBrunch, I would say the main difference that you have is everything is very immersive, in the sense that you can see yourself and you can see everyone inside your room, inside different bubbles or different circles. And it's really nice because it's not as tiring as a video conferencing. And the main difference that you're going to find is you can stay here as long as you want. It's not only for a 30 minutes meeting. You can certainly be here at any time of the day, just like your virtual office, and start, getting people on board of your room. And it can be used for communities. We have communities using for as a virtual place for their members, right? And then they can brainstorm together, they can share the screen. But it's a really nice environment, a very interesting ambience, because it makes you feel like you are inside of something special and not exactly just like a black or a simple video conferencing software.
Right. So did you want to actually like show us? I know it's so different
Yeah,
than what
sure.
we're used to.
I'll
Um,
show it. Yeah, let me share the screen here. And
and for those that might be just listening to the audio, GoBrunch.com. And that's just like you're going out to brunch, going out to eat. GoBrunch.com. All right, let's see.
yeah, let me just make sure that I'm sharing the right screen. No, I don't think it is. Let me just
Okay.
stop and do again one more time. Share screen, um, share screen window, and let me just find here my. Workshop. Workplace. Okay, I'll share this one. I cannot find my full screen, but I think this one will be perfect. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, that's the one. All
All
right.
right.
Cool. Yeah. As you can see here, this is just like a look and feel. And this is a very interesting use case for, let's say, virtual offices, because right now, a lot of companies are working remotely. And if you don't keep working, if you are forcing your employees to work face to face, you're gonna have a lot of turnover. And what you have here is like a place where you can join at any time of the day, right? And you can say, "Hey, Annie, good morning." And once you take one of the circles, you take a seat in one of these circles, you can start interacting with everyone. And it helps a lot, because many times you feel kind of lonely working at home. And here you can have more people. It can be like work your team members, or it can be like your community members. There are many different situations that you can enjoy. And yeah, this is just one example that we have, is a community in Canada, and it's very interesting. It calls creator rules, and they started using just like as their virtual office, their virtual workroom. And every day they join this room here. They have, I think, 136 members. And the members start joining and asking questions such as, "Hey, how can I develop, improve my landing page? How can I create, everything related to, to startups and, entrepreneurs." And it's really magical, because you have support for everyone. Everyone is supporting each other. It's very, very interesting. And yeah, and then you can turn on your mic and ask any question at any time, which is very interesting, right? You don't have to set up a meeting. You can just join here and start communicating. And what I really love about GoBrunch is the different kinds of ambiances that you have. Like you can see all these spaces, and inside each one of the spaces you have different rooms, and each one of the rooms you can have a different decoration, such as this one. Right. And then every user that we have, that we call bruncher, they can decorate the room the way they want, adding their logo, adding their pictures. It's especially for creative people, it's really interesting, because it unleashes the creativity and makes you feel like, hey, I'm really at home, right? Just like decorating your home. I know You know what I mean?
Yeah. So in this image that you're showing, Alice and what is it, Marissa?
Marissa.
Yeah, they could actually be just sitting there chatting like they were actually sitting in two chairs.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, this is just one layout, right? And she created this one-to-one
Uh-huh.
meeting, but it could be anything. Like she created, for example, a place where um, it's like a fitness center, and you can just practice yoga with more people. And or you can have like a coffee shop, just simulating that you are inside a coffee area, and every day you can have a different environment. You can be inside in a different environment, and you can even add like the sound. She created like a room with the sound of raining, and then you can work in silence with the sound of raining and the video of the raining. um, you know um, it's the pouring. It's really, really interesting.
Well, this looks much more like you're setting up a situation that rather than a Zoom meeting for being at work, this is just you have this running while you're doing your work when you're working remote. So that you can also be popping in and out of visiting with other people at your firm while you're working, just as if you got up and walked down the hall. I could go down and talk with Miriam in her office.
Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can, imagine this like a floor plan where you
Mhm.
can, okay, what I want to do for for the waiting room, what I want to do in terms of experience for my employees. And then each one of these rooms you can customize the way you want or brand the way you want, and, create a different experience. And yeah, and again, you don't have like the time limit, or you don't have the pressure of timing, which, okay, in 30 minutes this meeting is over, I have one more meeting. But here you feel a little bit more relaxed, because you know that, okay, I can just jump right now to the, let's say, to the ocean to race and engage with more people. And you see all these different environments, and just feel a little bit more, um, you know, chill during the day, other than just, okay, I have meetings here, I have to do this here, I have to create a presentation. But yeah, and one more aspect that many users are noticing is the benefit of body doubling. And body doubling is a very simple concept that sometimes, depending on the task that you're doing, you need people around you to provide you an incentive. It can be just, a person sit next to you, but this helps you to concentrate and focus to achieve what you need to achieve.
Tell me more about body doubling. I'm kind of going, okay, so you're faking out that your boss, that you're in two different places at once. What is what is that exactly?
Yeah, yeah, again, the idea is simply for you to collaborate with more people. And for example, we if you have ADHD, right, many creative people have ADHD, because you cannot focus, and you just
All
feel
right.
like, okay, where should I start? And this is
Mhm.
the case, for example, with Marissa, and I have a little bit as well. But yeah, and what you notice is that by working together side by side with more people, it's just like you are in the physical space, and someone will just sit next to you and say, hey, I'll help you out. What you're doing, what do you need? And you feel covered, right? It's not something that you're doing alone. And you don't feel like this kind of desperate feeling of, okay, I need to finish this, but nobody's helping me, nobody cares, right? And this is a little
Right.
bit about body doubling. Like you work together with more people, and of course you can do this virtually with the same sense of a physical space. You're pretty much making the physical space inside your virtual screen.
Yeah, well, people that have been following us know that we have some autism spectrum disorder in our family, and one thing that we found is there are times where if you're just sitting next to that, it's hard um, to get started on a project sometimes, and just having somebody sitting there next to you helps you get over that, helps you get started on a project.
Absolutely, yes. That's the idea of the body doubling. And to be honest, at any point, I was considering this for GoBrunch, but people just found this very useful, especially
Yeah.
because you can be here all the time and you can decorate everything. And yeah, I, I had some experiences like joining um, companies or communities, and again, it's very interesting because once you join there, you just feel like, hey, there are people here, and you can interact with these people, and people can already say hi to you, hey, welcome. And they say, hey, this is real, right? Because many times we are really used to community feeds, and you just scroll up, scroll down, and you see the messages. And here it's pretty much the same, but everything is live. And yeah,
Interesting.
and as you can see here, it's very immersive. Like, you can have your own let's say virtual office like this one. And this is just an example of decoration. And by the way, we already provide a lot of templates like this one, which makes everything easier if you don't have time for decorating. But yeah, and then you just choose here, and then you can spend your day with your team here. If you have a question, you can just ask using the microphone. You can open like a Miro whiteboard to collaborate with them if you want, which makes everything more pleasant, more pleasant during the day, especially the working hours.
Yeah. And this is okay. So this is like a virtual co-working space. I just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, or it
Yeah,
can be. It can be. So there
yeah,
are other ways that some people are using this as well, right? For more social interaction and not
yes,
just work related.
yeah. That's a very interesting question. What happened is that last year we noticed a lot of students using GoBrunch, especially high school students using
Mm.
GoBrunch for meeting their friends. And they many of them, they are very creative and they love anime. And we noticed that they are customizing their rooms, and they were saying, hey, I'm customizing using anime backgrounds. And hey, this is interesting. And then it's not exactly the first purpose that we have, but what we did is, okay, let's do something for them, right? Because they enjoy they enjoy GoBrunch, they enjoy the experience. We created a small social metaverse that we call the Anime City. And pretty much what you have over there is like a couple of rooms. Everything is, of course, more cartoonish, but let's say the main purpose is to help lonely students, because many times they feel lonely, especially in the winter. They feel bored, and we realize that if you create a common space where they can make friends, we're going to make something good. And that's what we created. And then we started to add students and interested to help us as moderators, just like to work as let's say land caretakers, and say, hey, everything is safe, everything is working. It's been a very interesting experience.
I could see this for D&D. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons is very popular right now, and wow, you could just create your own visuals to go with your whatever you're doing. I
You're
haven't actually
absolutely
played D and
right.
D,
Yeah,
so I'll use the wrong terminology here.
you're
But
absolutely right, because they used for role playing many
uh-huh.
times, and we created a room for role playing. Yeah, that's exactly what they love, this kind of stuff. Yeah. And again, this really helps people, especially creative people who have um, kind of, they are struggling on how to express themselves. And if they can create a room for this, and invite some friends, or even meet new people who can become their friends, it really helps.
Right. Um,
Uh,
I
you
know.
should get Adobe to buy you out for a couple billion and uh, uh, have a great life. You know.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that again, I always I always dream about creating this kind of virtual universes. And I really think that what the world is missing, especially online, is more it's a more humanity, right?
Yeah.
Because once we see all this metaverse, you have to use like VR glasses. Everything is very tech. It seems like I was reading an article, and I think the person said, okay, if you want to understand metaverse, just replace the word metaverse by cyber city or cyber town, something like that, because it's exactly what it is. Like if you join this metaverse, you say, oh, this is crazy. Like what should I do here? And it's very, very focused on a specific niche of people that are interested in trading this kind of virtual currencies. And what you're trying to do here is, okay, I want you to feel special, and if you join this room, I want everyone to welcome you. And you know what is interesting? Like, with the students, many times they join this metaverse, and people, many students who are already there, they say, "Hey, hello, welcome," because this is the culture that we help to create, right? We say, "Hey, if you're here as a moderator, you have to welcome everyone." This is, and they love to do that. And you know what happened? Um, these people who are joining, they ask, "Hey, are you bots?" This is
Oh,
the kind of,
yeah.
right, the kind of civilization that we have. Like, if you are kind, people are kind of doubtful, and they just don't believe that, oh, this is real people. It's crazy.
Yeah. So do you have any other visuals that you can show us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is like a screenshot of a webinar, because inside one of these spaces, you can have like even training rooms, just like this one. And you can, of course, invite people for your trainings, for your webinars. And it's really nice. Again, it's not only like a full screen of a boring screen where you have just to listen, nothing is happening, and then what people usually do is they start multitasking, right? But here it's way more engaging, and that's the main difference. Yeah, this is just a screenshot from one more room from Marisa from Creator Rules, and she created this amazing space for yoga. And from every other week, she invites a yoga instructor, and everyone who is working online, they join this room and start following the exercises. And after that, she has like the recording, and people can still join here to watch the recording. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, that that's great. It's like having a ping pong table in your office or something. You only
Mhm.
only have a virtual
Yeah,
yoga.
and and one more interesting feature is, since you can play videos or you can embed content and everything, um, in the case of this community, she added this kind of Pomodoro clock, which every 25 minutes it chimes, and then it says, "Hey, now it's time for you to stretch. It's time for you to drink some water or ask a question." And it's very interesting because, again, this is not something that we have predicted, but it's one more resource that they found, and they have been using. And again, it helps people who are working remotely to have a more healthy life, right? Not only sit on their desk and doing everything, but you can practice yoga, and you can, of course, be notified every 25 minutes that you have to stretch.
And because there are other people in the room, somebody else might say, "Hey, Marissa, did you stretch?" I mean, there's a
Exactly.
little bit of there can be some social interaction rather than you just listening to a chime that you set up on your computer and you decide to ignore it, which is what I would probably
Exactly.
do.
And this happens a lot, Maria. Like, many
Yeah.
times that I join there, they are just talking about, live and everything. It's really interesting. And they created a sense of um, uh, if you're not there, you might be missing something. And that's what is interesting. Because if you're late or if you just miss something, they will say to you, "Oh, we were just discussing about this." And it could be something very, very simple, but then they start playing with each other. You cannot imagine what you have, you just lost here. We were discussing, and Marissa told this, and they start having a lot of they start enjoying a lot the every moment that they spend together.
Something that you pointed out the first time that we met is that this is a 2D metaverse, not a 3D. And one of the problems that people have so often with the 3D metaverse, first of all, you have to have the special, you have to have the goggles or whatever to be able to participate. But a lot of people get kind of sick to their stomach. I mean, this seems more, I don't know, a little easier and maybe better for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the idea, because by the time I was exploring some metaverses, was back to 2014. I can bear much, 3D. Of course, many people use for gaming, and for gaming, I think it has a very interesting space. But for socializing, like, you have to turn right, you have to turn down, like, it got a little bit dizzy. And then I found an example, of a platform that was, it was 3D, but it was a little bit more like a top view, more like isometric.
Mm-hmm.
And I found, oh, okay, this is very interesting, because it's very easy to navigate. And I think the word that we can use here is more accessible, right? Because
Right.
as much as you have this 3D view, everything is 2D, and you just need to click on a circle, click on an arrow. And in my opinion, like, even if you're not requiring 3D glasses, for you to socialize in 3D, like turning here, turning there, and speaking, it's kind of tiring. It's kind of tiring, and not everyone
Yeah.
has this kind of ability or even the skill for doing this.
Right.
And right, and what I realized is that, okay, we need to do something simple, because 3D might be the future, but at least in my opinion, um, as long as Apple does not change the UI of the iPhone, right? Because you have to slide right, you slide left, you slide up and down, but you don't press your finger in the Z axis. And why you don't have this kind of technology, I think we have to keep exploring 2D, because it's way more simple and more accessible to everyone.
Yes. Because yeah, you can do this without special glasses, for instance. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anybody can do it because virtually everybody has a phone, has a smartphone. So that is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think, um, many metaverses are, trying their best using 3D, but at the end of the day, it's something that requires a lot of processing power, graphic card and many stuff, and then the graphics starts, and since they don't want to require, the graphics start to get a little bit clunky, and it seems like you are back to the 90s. And people start, even mocking this kind of metaverses. But yeah, what I try to do here is like a crisp image, beautiful things that you can do, like you can find an image that you like, very, a beautiful image from a scenario, or anything that you love, and then you can add as a background. In addition to that, you can, okay, I want to add a video, you can add an animate, something like an animated um, wallpaper or animated background, like a space or underwater, anything that you like. And this is something that people are more used to, and they
Yeah.
definitely learn faster.
Awesome. So I was struggling a little bit about how to explain in a real short phrase what GoBrunch is. And
Yeah.
so what do you have something for us?
Yeah, again, it's a very interesting question, because this is actually one of the points that we are struggling, right? Because there's no specific word for it. I would say that probably the closest one is they're calling virtual workspaces or virtual spaces.
Mm-hmm.
But again, as you have mentioned, it's not a popular sentence, right? And not everyone is looking for it. Not everyone searches on Google, I want a virtual space or a virtual
Yeah,
workspace.
because you're one of the, I mean, you're cutting edge here, right? There aren't other people doing something similar. So
Yeah,
you're
there are
charging,
some companies doing something not
okay,
exactly the same, because again, this was based on a dream, and not everyone will have the same dream, but there are some similarities. And I feel like, it's good, because as many players that we have, we're going to develop this market, right? And we need to, the main challenge that we have right now is make people to be aware that this exists and this can help. And I would say that, since we don't have this, since we have this lack of word, yeah, we are trying to, explore different, let's say, long tail words that are close to it. Like if people are looking for um, communication tools, yeah, this can be a communication tool, because you have a lot of features for it.
right.
Collaboration tools, but again, there's no unfortunately there's no specific keyword that represents,
Right,
the main concept. Yeah.
right. Well, so we're going to help you as much as we can to get that word out there because this is an incredible concept, I think. Um,
Really appreciate.
yeah,
I'm really impressed. I've of course been around the Adobe ecosphere without ever actually having been at the mothership, and there in San Jose. And I was just down there last week, within a few miles of both the San Jose office and the San Francisco office, where Premiere Pro, that I do a lot of work with, has major offices. But there wasn't anyone for me to stop in and visit. Well, back in the spring of 2020, just before COVID hit, um, the head of their all their video applications was talking about flying me down to San Jose to meet the rest of the team that I hadn't met at things like the National Association of Broadcasters, or NAB show in Vegas every year. And because, of course, especially they were the home place of Premiere Pro was in the mothership there in San Jose, and they were putting mega millions into remodeling that fairly new building to make it even really cooler. And they've got all these automated coffee areas that where you have this long counter that has a an espresso machine, except it's not, people think like a vending machine. No, this is not like a vending machine. This is a lot more expensive than a vending machine. You can go to the counter and you start at one end and you tap into a screen which beans you want it to grind and what you want it to do. And you take a cup and then you just go and you put your thing here and then you put it there and it puts and it does. And so you get your macchiato or whatever you want to get out of it just done. But it's a very custom. It's not just a single spigot that just pours out your drink. It's got all the different parts of that espresso machine there, and they've got this down the hallway, and they've got ping pong tables, and they've got all this kind of stuff so that they have this whole environment set up for their people to work in. Then along comes the pandemic, and they send everybody to work at home, and now the pandemic is realistically mostly over. I mean, most of us are getting on with life. But okay, so I'm flying down. So okay, so who is going to be in the office? No one you'd know, actually. Not very many people go in anymore. They've got this huge multi-billion-dollar building that not hardly anybody goes into from the Premiere Pro team, and they work so hard at creating a culture in their spaces and trying to mimic that culture in all of their other offices, because they've got offices in Seattle and Toronto and New York and Munich, where Patrick Palmer is based, and in a couple places in India. But now the vast majority of employees are working from home. Well, but they still like having the Adobe culture, right? And so I was watching this and going, man,
they need this.
GoBrunch would be the kind of thing that all of their employees should be having going on in the background. So they're sitting there working their computer at home and decide, and looking up, say, Oh, Dave's over there. Pop into that room. Yeah, hey Dave. So what, working on this at the moment. What do you think about this? Can we chat about that and everything and this kind of stuff? But having people available from all over the world through this at any one time, I think might be something that would be exactly up Adobe's alley. And what the heck? They just 1.2 billion or something like that to buy Frame.io last year. They're not exactly lacking
Yeah,
in cash when they want to
but
blow it.
we need to actually, Creativity-Hive needs to try this, and then we can demo people how awesome it is.
It looks fun.
Yeah,
It does
definitely.
look.
Again, it's in my, it's a next step for you to build a community, right? And in terms of, I don't know, Adobe can be used for their employees, but of course, if they create this for their community, would be way better because they can use the
The
Adobe tools, like
users.
use Photoshop and Illustrator for creating the backgrounds, for decorating everything, and still they can, collaborate and learn from each other.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, and it would be like a perfect fit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, if the users could use that and collaborate and ask questions. I mean, the forums, you have type out, I'm having this issue, you attach a screenshot. Wouldn't it be great if Neil was just sitting there next to you and he could say, "Oh yeah, I know how to solve that problem."
Exactly, yeah. And that I think that's the charm of working together remotely, right? Because again, we need to reinvent, and the way that people are collaborating right now in these 30 minutes meetings is something that of course, like, it helps productivity, but at the same time it's not, as you have mentioned, it's not the best strategy for you to empower your culture.
Yeah.
And many companies like Adobe, they are very concerned with the culture because they want people to understand that it's not only, we don't want you to, only to do your task, but we want you to innovate, or you want you to think outside of the box, and follow all the values that you have established. And it's kind of hard for you to do that using, like, just text messages and 30 minutes meeting, and sometimes they even do like a happy hour here and there, but virtual. But again, it's if you're working globally, um, it's kind of difficult. But here, let's say if you are late and you are working hours, you might find someone from Asia and who never had the opportunity to interact before, and you can start having a really interesting brainstorming.
Yeah. How cool is that? Well, I think it is time to wrap things up. This has been awesome. GoBrunch.com. That's GoBrunch.com. And go check it out, everyone. So thank you so much, Richard, for joining us.
You're more
And
than welcome. Yeah, I really appreciate inviting me for the show, and yeah, I'm more than happy to answer further questions for your audience. Wishing
yes,
you
yes.
right.
And they can connect you. They can, check out the website. They can also, I assume, connect with you on LinkedIn, right?
Definitely, definitely. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you want me to share later here, but yeah, I can definitely do that.
Okay. Yeah, I will go ahead and add that into the comments, I think, your
Okay.
LinkedIn profile.
Yeah,
So,
I'll send over in the chat, and then you can do that. And thank you again,
okay,
thank you again for inviting, and yeah, wishing you wonderful night.
thank you.